We had bishop b7. You had bishop b7. You guys hold on. Bishop b7. And then you have bishop b7 again. Play bishop b7. You have to play bishop. I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna lose my mind. Bishop b7. You have to play bishop b7. I'm gonna lose my mind. Bishop b7. Play bishop b7 right now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Full Strive Chess Tournament. Today we have an absolute array of matches here today, a lot of familiar faces and one new face whose name is Chess Leveling, and all 8 of these players are going to be looking to etch their name in Full Strive Chess Tournament history and win the $10 cash prize, which goes to the victor of this one. Do not go anywhere, buckle your seatbelt, we have an absolute fun tournament ahead of us. So with that being said, guys, let's get right into the first game. And we are underway for game 1 of the Full Strive Chess Tournament. We have Phoenix, who is back with a bang, playing with the black pieces, and we have Explore Chess playing with the white pieces, and we have E4 playing, and we have a Caro Kann on the board. The Caro Kann usually goes C6 followed by D5 here, and that is exactly what we see. Now, if this pawn takes, you will always take back with the C pawn, and you have a very, very basic structure. Now, if this pawn were to push here, ooh, but if it doesn't do anything and the knight moves out, this pawn always takes here. Every single time black is going to take this pawn. A very, very structured, very structured opening here to start this bout, and Phoenix comes in with the bishop to start. A little bit of a different line here, but I honestly don't mind it. The bishop is now pinning the knight to the queen. And now white strikes forward with the pawn, pushing the pawn forward to d4, taking a little bit of space. I always preach this. Always try to maintain pressure on the center squares as best as you possibly can. Phoenix now pushes his pawn forward. Well done by Phoenix. Get his bishop into the game early and then push this pawn. And what this pawn does by pushing here is get this bishop into the game here. Now, once that bishop gets in there, you can now move this knight here and eventually castle here. Now, white does move the bishop up here now to f4. And ooh, and I like that move too. Now the bishop slides up. Ooh, but the pawn is going to push, taking away some very, very important squares here for black. The white bishop now slides up to d3, and now black strikes with the pawn, moving the pawn forward to c5. And now this is kind of tricky because now the knight cannot get out here. And with this pawn push here, it's low-key kind of blocking the bishop until the pawn can take. So although this pawn will come off the board eventually in the next 1 or 2 moves, it would appear, and this bishop will be able to get over here. And the only move that this knight can have is to get here. So that is very important that Phoenix recognizes this early. White now comes in with the bishop, checking the king on b5. The knight now jumps in, the only move that black can truly play here. And white now castles, and it is in fact black who has the advantage early. Now, the pawn does take here, and you cannot take here with the knight. You can't take here with the knight, because if the knight takes, the queen's going to fall off the board. Explore Chess has to be very, very careful. Now, he can take with the queen because the knight is pinned to the king. Nicely done. And now Phoenix takes the knight on f3, and this pawn is going to have to take back here. And white's structure is slightly damaged on his king side, so it is very important that he recognizes this and keeps his king as safe as possible. Ideally, when I get in these spots, my thought process is, okay, try to get my king over here to safety. The white square bishop will be off the board if it does get taken here, and then you slide the rook over, and just try and maintain the defense of the area. So white takes back. And now, if I am black, I am probably trying to push this pawn here. If the bishop slides back here, you push here, and the bishop's going to have to be forced to come back here, and then you go here, because the bishop will be off this pin of the knight, and now you free up, so like now you'll be attacking this knight, and then you free the knight up here, right? I do believe that is the best way to go about this. Phoenix taking a little bit of time here, as he should. He does have a slight advantage on the eval bar as it currently stands. So white does also need to keep in mind as well that the knight is attacking the queen here. And anytime the king were to move and remove the pin of the knight to the king, this queen will be hanging. So white needs to be very careful about that. So Phoenix does push the pawn here. I do believe that is the best move he could have played in this spot. And now the bishop slides back. Oh, no, but the bishop does take. So now you just take back with the pawn. Cool, calm, collected. Excellent, excellent stuff. So let's see here. So honestly, I wonder if you can move the bishop over here. You can also go queen a4 here. You can play... Oh, it's saying knight e... Oh, no, you can't. Yeah, you can't go knight e2. Rook 81. You can't do that either. Engine is spoofing. But what does white do here in this spot? He's now below 1 minute and 30 seconds on his clock. Can he come up with something here to put black on the ropes here. His clock continues to dwindle. Exploring chess using a little bit more time here in this spot. So he needs to be cautious and be careful. But what exactly does he do here? Oh, wait, no. Wait, I said queen a4 earlier. Queen a4 is with white. I don't know how I got that backwards. Anyways, a3 now pushes, stopping the bishop from getting here. But honestly, you don't really need to worry about that because the queen is still covering the square. But honestly, I don't mind it. You need to play a move in this spot because your clock was dwindling just a little bit. So it's important that you at least play a move at the bare minimum. And honestly, it wasn't even a bad move. Because you do take a square away from here. Take a square here away from black. Now black's best move would probably be to play g5 because the bishop is covering here. Ooh, and honestly, I don't mind that at all because the queen is still covering the bishop here. And now this bishop either has to take or just, oh my god, and now the bishop slides back, and it is in fact black who is winning as it currently stands. So now the knight comes forward, and the engine doesn't like it, but I honestly don't mind it at all. Now you castle, get your king to safety here. And then perhaps maybe you could push this pawn down here. Actually, no, you might be able to. The pawn now pushes here, and now that black decides to castle. And then we're going to get king to h1, sliding the king over, and then you're going to move your rook over here, maybe? Although the queen is now under fire, so you got to move the queen now. But you have to be careful. Do not move it to a square where it can get eaten. And white's clock is now just about, and now it is currently at 30 seconds, currently. What does he do here? White needs to think of something, and he needs to think of something fast. His clock is continuing to dwindle. Sliding the queen over to attack everything, but everything is covered. How exactly do you do this? Black has white on the ropes. But he needs to still prove some points here. Now, a5 could be an option. What? Or yeah, okay. A5 could be an option here. Black could also probably go bishop e7. Sliding the bishop back to create some pressure down here. Although that is a little bit scary, though. Oh, my. And then the knight's going to take... Oh, but he takes with the queen. Okay. Now the queen's going to take, and then the knight's going to take. Ooh, I actually don't mind this at all, because now it's going to be attacking the pawn. The pawn's going to have to push. But Explore Chess is now in the red. He has less than 20 seconds on his clock, and he doesn't have time to think. He pushes the pawn forward now, and but this knight's going to get here now. And once the knight gets there, oh, but Phoenix pushes the knight back, and now the rook slides over to g1, blundering the pawn in one move. But he doesn't have time to think. The rook now slides over, and now the knight's going to get here. Oh, no, it's not, because the knight's still negating that. a5. Knight jumps back forward. Okay, so the knight does jump back. Explore Chess is playing very fast. And now Phoenix is below 30 seconds. We are going to come down to a very fast scramble here in just a few split moments. a5 is now finally played by Phoenix. Well done by Phoenix. And now the knight jumps back. The pawn is going to take, and the pawn is going to take back. So I think you could probably play... Ooh, I wonder if this would have been a better move here. Now the pawn pushes here, defending that pawn. Well done there by Phoenix. Now the rook slides over to c8. The knight jumps forward. The pawn pushes. And now Explore Chess is back in the red. Mind you, you do get 2 seconds of bonus time every time you make a move. But he does, in fact, blunder a pawn in the process. He needs... The rook now slides down to b3. And the pawn pushes, striking to create something. Anything he could possibly muster to save the position. And the rook takes the pawn here. Now the pawn pushes. And Explore Chess is on the ropes. And Phoenix is up 4 pieces of material. Is there any hope here now for Explore Chess? Explore Chess slides the rook over now to g5. Phoenix pushes the pawn forward to d4. And there's honestly no stopping this pawn. This pawn is a straight-up passer. There's nothing you can do. But the knight is blundered, but to no avail because the rook is going to slide up. And the rook's going to fall off the board. But this pawn's going to be pushing here. And Phoenix is still in the lead. Pawn pushes now. Rook check. King slides down. Rook check again. King's going to slide up here. No, the king slides down. Honestly, don't mind it. And now the rook slides over here. And now this pawn can push again. And if this pawn can get down here, it's going to be mate in a couple of moves. And it's over. The only move here is to slide the rook over to prevent checkmate. But checkmate is still going to be forced. And checkmate is delivered with the pawn promotion on c1. And Phoenix will not be denied in his return to this chess tournament. Phoenix delivers checkmate on move 43. All right, and we are underway for game 2 of the Full Strive Chess Tournament. We have you playing with the white pieces, and we're actually watching from Black's perspective, and we have Katie playing with the black pieces, and we have a center game accepted early. Katie takes a pawn here on d4. Katie now develops the knight here to c6. The queen slides over to c4. And ideally, in most spots, you probably don't want to move your queen too many times, but in this spot, you do in fact have to move it, or else it would have gotten taken there. Now, the pawn now pushes forward to d6. Knight develops here to c3 for white. I honestly love it here. And now the knight moves forward to f6, but you have to be very, very careful because eventually this pawn could potentially push. Not right now because it would just get eaten straight up because it's not protected by anything. But, ooh, now the knight jumps in here to d5. And now the knight is under fire here, and Katie needs to be careful and be cautious. Maybe you could probably slide the bishop up here to e6. You could also probably go bishop e7. But no, the knight takes here now on d5, and the pawn takes back, and now you have to move this knight. And honestly, the knight looks very, very, very strong in this spot. Attacking the queen here, it is protected by the pawn, and Katie's next order of business is going to be to try to get this pawn off the board as quickly as she can. So, white now slides the queen back here to b3. And perhaps, maybe, sliding the bishop up here could be okay. No, Katie pushes the pawn now. Just straight up get that pawn off the board. I honestly don't mind it in the slightest. So, although if you do take this pawn, this queen's not going to be able to take here. Although if the queen does take here, so takes, and then you move the bishop here, this queen's going to have to move again. But this will be under fire. Ooh, okay, so there's a lot of different things you got to keep in mind here. Honestly, you probably have queen check here too. Queen check, take, maybe. That could be an option, but you would have double pawns, so that pawn would probably fall off the board eventually here soon. White now about just to move the bishop forward to f4. Queen comes in with check. Katie finding that move very, very quickly. Nicely done there. And now the bishop may... Actually, you probably push the pawn forward here. No? Yeah, that's okay. And you could have brought the bishop back here, but that would have been an undeveloping move, so that probably wouldn't have been the best. Although the queen would have had to move here. So, black could now potentially take this pawn here. And if they do, if white takes with the queen, honestly, you probably don't even need to do that. I wonder if you could have played here. No, because then the knight would have taken. But there's a quick exchange here. Now, Katie does have double pawns. Yes, she gives up a piece of material. But white makes a mistake. Castle's over here. The king side is very, very weak here now. White comes in with a check. But if Katie slides the bishop down here, you have to be very careful because bishop takes, king takes, and then the rook will take with check. Katie has to be very, very, very careful here. Now, sliding the king up, I honestly believe is the best move on the board. Now, you could probably now try and slide this pawn up here to a6, try and get rid of that. This pawn is now under fire, so you probably need to... Ooh, okay, so you push the pawn forward, but that might not be the best because now the knight can get in here, and the knight is planted. That's a very, very, very powerful knight here. And this bishop can never get over here because the king is blocking the bishop's movement here. The pawn pushes forward now to a6, attacking the bishop. So the bishop is going to have to move here. Now, how exactly do you do this? Maybe you could move the rook over here now to c1. You could maybe play bishop you could maybe play g6 after this, maybe. g6 here, and then get the bishop fianchettoed here. That looks like the best way to navigate this. g6 and then fianchetto the bishop. I think that might be the best way to go about this. You could also push the pawn here now to b5. Try and force the bishop all the way back. Oh, and Katie does in fact fianchetto the bishop. Okay. I don't mind it. So the pawn pushes forward to g6. And now white needs to be extremely cautious in how he navigates this. Bishop to b3 is an option. Sliding the bishop back here. You could also just go ahead and take the bishop here on e3. And that's why white does. Oh, but apparently not. Because the knight takes and then the pawn's going to take back. This is going to be under fire here. And this bishop is very powerful. Katie needs to do something about this bishop here. If she can do something about this bishop, it will be white who is on the ropes. Now, the best move here is probably to be king b1. You could also play bishop b3 now. But sliding the rook over, I honestly don't hate it. The pawn now pushes here to b5. I don't mind that at all. Now, the bishop comes over here. You need to keep as many pieces on the board as he possibly can right now. He is down one piece of material. Katie is up 2 on the eval bar, but both of these players have no inkling as to what this game is looking like other than the pieces being up. And apparently that is a horrible move from Katie, pushing the pawn to a5. And now the engine says it is deadlocked. Because this is a free pawn here. The pawn is pinned to the king. Oh, but white does not spot it. But black now pushes the pawn forward. Oh, my word. And now a threat is coming. The rook now slides up to defend this pawn. Brilliant calculation here from Katie. Rook now slides over after the bishop slides up to attack here. The pawns immediately exchange very, very quickly. And is below 40 seconds on his clock. He now slides the bishop in to try and create a threat of anything. But he slides the king forward to d2. Blundering the bishop. Or blundering the pawn. This is officially Katie's game to lose. Yu has had his chances, but Katie, with perfect play, is going to win this game as Yu's clock continues to dwindle. He is now officially in the red. No, he is not. He moves the king forward, getting 2 seconds of bonus time on his clock. The pawn pushes now, and the king is going on an adventure, sliding the king up forward here. But the bishop now slides forward. But how do you do this? The pawns are covering the bishop. Rook slides over. Pawn pushes. And you cannot go back over here because the bishop is covering that square. Rook slides forward. Check is delivered. King now has to go back. It is mate and one. When they discovered check, Katie delivers checkmate on move 33. And we are underway for game 3 of the Full Strive Chess Tournament. We have e4 played on the board, and we have a second Karo Khan played. The best move in all of chess, the best opening all of chess. And LG is beautiful, and he plays the fantasy variation. The fantasy variation is so incredibly powerful against the Karo Khan, because after this pawn takes, you're going to take here, you have a big, fat, white center. Excellent play so far by the underdog LG. Yes, I know it appears that LG and this gentleman at the top with the black pieces, his name is Chess Leveling, but his name is Journey from Noob to Pro. That is his YouTube username, I believe. But LG is looking very solid here early on. And now Chess Leveling is taking a little bit of time, and I honestly don't mind that move, although it does block the bishop in here. And now LG needs to, and that might not be the best move. You probably need to get the bishop over here first, but White takes, and White has lost the right to castle now. And the game is deadlocked. Wait, no. White did not lose the right to castle. The knight took. Psych. The knight now moves forward to c6. Bishop moves forward to b5. Perhaps. Okay, so the bishop now slides forward to d7. And now, if I'm White, I'm probably castling here. I'm castling here or playing bishop e3, getting the bishop into the game because the bishop takes. The knight's going to get out, so that wins a little bit of tempo. And you don't need to do anything about this bishop just yet. You could probably just, like, if this knight were to ever move, you could probably just take here. Oh my gosh! And LG takes the knight, and it is in fact Black who has an advantage, but it is not too clear as to why. That's not a catastrophic blunder. There are still threats and still opportunities for White to get back in this one. Black now cool and calmly takes the bishop here on c6. And we are on move 10 as it stands. And Black has the slight advantage as we speak. Now, Black needs to be careful here, because if Black ever pushed the knight here, White's going to push his pawn forward. And White just goes ahead and pushes his pawn forward here now. Now, Black can probably play rook d8 here, knight e7, or maybe even rook c8 here. Those are probably the 3 best moves I would probably play. But Black instead vouches to push the pawn forward. Now, you have to keep in mind here, if this pawn takes here, and the knight takes, but that does not happen. The knight now moves forward to c3. And honestly, I don't hate it. I don't hate it from LG. Get the knight off the starting square here, and then maybe perhaps, like, you probably should move your bishop here. That would probably have been a better move for reasons I just explained. But Black now takes the piece here on f3, and the pawn takes back here. And this pawn is hanging, but Black will have double pawns here. So White will have opportunities to get this pawn back. And the pressure is mounting in this one. Bishop now slides forward to d2. And honestly, I feel like Black could castle this way. Castle here, and then get pressure on this bishop. No, I think White should not castle this way. I think White should castle this way. Yep, castling queenside is a top engine move. Well done from LG. Nicely done. And now if I am Black, I'm probably moving the rook over to d8 now. Rook d8 now. You could probably all... And it appears it is a mouse slip. The king has now slid forward, and it is going to be a discovered check. Oh my god. In a dramatic turn of events, it is in fact LG who is in the driver's seat. A catastrophic mouse slip. And White. Wait, I don't even know what White could have played there to save that bishop. Now the rook slides over to d8. The rook slides forward. Is LG going to win this game? The bishop is now attacking the rook here on d8, and is also attacking the knight here on f6. The rook is going to have to move here no matter what, and as soon as this rook moves, LG is going to have this pre-moved, and he's going to take the knight on f6. Actually, probably don't pre-move just in case. The rook now slides forward, and LG needs to just get material off the board. Get material off the board. You are winning. It is done, said Matt. But black blunders the rook in one move. A catastrophic turn of events leads to LG being plus 5.9 on the eval bar and a plus 4 piece advantage. Oh, this is devastating. Now, LG does blunder the bishop here on e7. He had better opportunities there. That is probably going to be bad for him long term. As the game continues to progress, LG does have a little bit under 2 minutes on his clock, so he has time to think. And chess leveling is a little bit above 1 minute, but he does get 2 seconds of bonus time after he makes this move. I honestly think that move is perfectly fine. Defend this pawn here. The pawns are doubled. Maybe I feel like you need to try and get your king into the game now. I think king d6 would have been a little bit better, but he vouches for king d7. Honestly, don't mind it in the slightest. White is up, and how exactly does he finish this game off in style? White is now pushing the pawns forward. King slides forward to f6. Do not leave for one single moment, y'all. This is about to be a very, 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 very dramatic finish to conclude this match. The king now slides forward. It looks like the king is trying to get down here to try and grab this pawn, perhaps. I think that might be what the play is here. The rook now slides over to d1, and LG has time to think. LG should be taking their sweet time with this. Oh, this is getting... I'm like shaking in my boots right now. Can LG pull this off? Nobody had LG winning this game, but LG said, I don't hear any haters. I'm going to push my rook forward to d7, striking, and I'm going to also grab one of these pawns here, and I'm going to win this game and to finish it off, and I will not be denied. You need to take this pawn, though, to defend this pawn. Good job by LG. Well done, well done, well done. And now the pawn pushes forward for black, and honestly, I could probably just go ahead and take that. Ooh, and honestly... Oh, wait, okay. Now, you probably push this pawn forward now. No, don't push that pawn forward yet. You got to go here first. Oh, no. I guess pushing the pawn there's fine. I was going to say, if you push here, though, the king can slide down here, and the rook can never get over here because the knight's still covering there. So the pawn now strikes forward, and the h-pawn now falls off the board. And this game looks like it's going to be over here in a mere matter of moves. We are currently on move 33, and barring a absolutely and utterly devastating blunder, it will be LG who will not be denied to advance to the next round. Knight now moves forward to b4. Chess Leveling is looking for his shot to try and save the game. Anything he can possibly muster to try and salvage and save this position, but it is to no avail because now the rook is going to come in with check and collect the knight after the check is created, and if the king takes a pawn, it's to no avail. The knight is still going to fall off the board. Oh wait, actually you can't even go there. What am I talking about? You can't even go there. I don't know. I'm apparently colorblind. I thought those were white pawns. LOL. Anyways, the pawn pushes forward to b6. Now the knight now slides back to c6 in a desperate plea attempt to try and stop the pawns, but there is absolutely no stopping these pawns because after this pawn pushes, the knight is going to have to sack. Honestly, you probably can't even sack the knight there. And this pawn's going to take, and there's no stopping this because you only have a king on the board. LG vouches to push that pawn. Oh, it is devastating. A crippling blow. Rook slides over. Do we have some kind of fireworks that could happen at the end of this game? LG has nothing. Actually, he has everything to lose. But now the knight slides back. This pawn's going to push. And this game is going to be done, said, match. 7 seconds now on Chess Leveling's clock. Knight moves forward now to a6. Rook slides over. Honestly, you probably could have just gone ahead and pushed there. 3 seconds. King slides over now to d6. A queen is now promoted on the board, attacking this knight here. The knight will have to move, but it is 2 seconds still on Chess Leveling's clock. Chess Leveling didn't hear no bell, bro. He didn't hear no bell. And on move 43, LG pulls off the unthinkable, upset to our newcomer chess leveling. Everybody in the chat right now, all of you guys go tell chess leveling GG's right now. All of you tell chess leveling GG's right now. This was his first ever tournament, and it has been a pleasure to have him here today. But LG, who has played in our tournaments before, pulls off the upset and wins this game. And we are underway for the final match of round 1 of the Full Strive Chess Tournament. We have the reigning champion, Supra, playing with the black pieces, and his opponent, Generation, playing with the white pieces. Generation had a devastating loss in our previous tournament, and she is looking to get revenge in this one. But we have a Queen's Gambit decline, Alabin counter gambit. Supra, knowing his prep very, very well. Ooh, and now you can probably push this pawn forward to d4, and Supra does in fact find it, and this position is going to get very tricky very, very fast. The pawn is now pushed here. The knight's going to push forward here, but you can honestly probably play knight c6. Knight c6, you also play bishop b4 here, checking the king, and you can maybe probably play bishop c5? I don't know why you play bishop c5, though, because that'd be hanging in. Well, it'd be up 2 pawns. I'm probably playing knight to c6 here first. Knight c6 here first. And honestly, white just needs to be very, very cautious because this pawn is literally just like exposed, like completely and utterly exposed. Bishop now slides up to c5. Honestly, one of the best moves. Oh, but it's to no avail because it appears that white has the slight advantage here early on move 5. Supra did use a little bit of time there in that one. The pawn now pushes here to f6. Now if this pawn takes, you take with the knight here. Bishop now slides forward. Ooh, and it's probably tricky here. You probably don't want to take this pawn here yet, because white's going to win a tempo. Knight c6 is a good move. Oh, but he takes the pawn, and now white is winning! The reigning champion Supra is on the ropes early! White now has a crippling blow threat, x-raying the rook. If this bishop ever moves, this rook is going to fall off the board. Supra must be careful. Oh my god, and it is critical because it is really, really bad now because of knight d3? Knight d3. Oh, knight d3. Slide the knight back here to attack this bishop. Oh my word. Generation is using a little bit of time here, as she rightfully should, but she finds the wrong move and blunders the knight in one move. But wait, bishop b7. Yes, bishop b7. You guys all do bishop b7. You have bishop b7 again. Play bishop b7. You have to play bishop. I'm gonna lose my mind. Bishop b7. You have to play bishop b7. I'm gonna lose my mind. Bishop b7. Play bishop b7 right now. Yes. Generation. The only move to save the game after 3 misses. Takes the pawn now on b7, and he has life as it stands. You can't stop this. The rook is gonna fall. The rook will fall. Supra now calmly takes the pawn on h3. The best move on the board. Probably need to slide the rook over now. Oh my, it says knight dd2. Oh my word, knight d2 because the bishop takes. Oh my god. And it is in fact Supra. Do not go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Bishop now takes the rook here. And Generation is up. But Supra is going to come in here. I am at a complete loss of words. Supra collects the bishop, and checkmate is coming, barring a pawn push. If the pawn does not push, it will be checkmate. There is only queen g6. Queen g6. You can't even go queen g6. Oh, f3 is the only move that does not that prevents checkmate in one move. Only move. You can also play e4. Oh my god. The pawn pushes forward to f3. Can Generation pull? Oh my god, and that's a blunder by Supra. according to the eval bar. But how does he know that? It's a discovered check. It's got to be good, right? Super still with a +3 advantage. He is still down 3 pieces of material, mind you. One wrong move, and this game is going to be turned on its head. This game will be turned on its head. Super had an opportunity to capitalize, but he misses it. Queen now takes here. And Generation has a massive attack coming down here. Honestly, you probably need to move your bishop now, perhaps. Move the bishop down here, maybe. You could always take with the rook here too. Although this would get taken, so that's probably not. Oh wait, no, but the bishop's covering. Oh my word, this is crazy. This is absolute mania. Super needs to be very careful. His clock is dwindling, by the way. He's now down at 30 seconds on his clock. And white blunders the game. Or excuse me, black blunders the game in one move. Force drive is colorblind because it is in fact white who is going to win this game. Collecting the bishop. Unbelievable. Super had his chance. Super had his chance. But it is to no avail. White still has 3 pieces that have not even moved. 5 pieces that still have not even moved. The rook now slides up to attack the knight. Honestly, probably just push the pawn forward. I don't even care. Just push the pawn forward. Sack the rook. Just sack the rook. Maybe slide down here. There's just nothing Black can do. Black is out of time. He had his chances. But he fumbled. Rook now slides all the way over to a5. And Black takes the pawn here on g3. Oh my word. Absolute mania. Knight now slides over to try and get this bishop, but Generation is a very good player and she's going to spot that. I'm sure she will spot that. 37 seconds now on Generation's clock. Knight now moves forward to c3. And Super is now officially in the red. Delivering a check. Generation needs to move his king over. Nicely done. Knight check here on d3. Good. King now slides over. You can't move the knight back here. Oh my word. And Super cannot be trading pieces in this spot. And Generation calmly collects the piece on c1. And now check is delivered on e8. But that blunders the bishop in one move. And it will be Generation who is going to take down the reigning champion, Supra. Check delivered. There's nothing, and I mean nothing, that Super can do. Check is delivered now. Super with 19 seconds on his clock. King slides up. Rook slides up to defend. King slides down. To d7. Rook slides up. This knight is hanging. Check delivered now by Supra. Generation does need to be careful here. It's very easy to blunder these endgames. Pawn is now pinned to the king. Although, yeah, that was hanging too. And Generation calmly collects the pawn there. Pawn now pushes forward. Rook slides up. And 12 seconds on Supra's clock. Rook slides back to g4. Rook slides over to b4. There's nothing, and I mean nothing you can do to stop this. Imagine if Super got this pawn all the way down. Generation will not be denied today. He will not be denied today. Rook collects the pawn here on a4. Rook now slides back to b2. King slides up to d5. Check is delivered by the rook. King slides up, and we are on move 46. And the rook's going to take this pawn here. Check is now delivered. King slides down to d8. Rook d1 check. King slides over. Check delivered by the rook on a8. Super with 13 seconds on his clock. Check now by the rook. King slides up to c4. And if this pawn pushes... Oh my god, now this pawn's going to fall off the board. Alright, alright. So, Generation needs to be very careful. One wrong move, and this game is over. One wrong move is all it's going to take for this game to be over. Generation needs to be very, very careful. She has this game in the bag. Does she know how to finish this game off with 2 rooks? Can Super pull off the unthinkable? Is there any... Okay. Check delivered by the rook. Rook slides up to b2. Check delivered by the rook on e7. King slides up to d6. And checkmate is delivered in the middle of the board by Generation on move 60. And she takes down the reigning champion, Supra, against all odds. Congratulations to Generation. You're moving on to the next round. GG's to Supra. And we are underway for game 1 of round 2 of the Full Strive Chess Tournament. We have Katie playing with the white pieces, Phoenix playing with the black pieces. Katie is looking to get another shot at the Full Strive Chess Tournament final for the second time in 2 tournaments. Can she pull it off? The bishop now slides forward to g4, and we also have a Carl plate on the board by Phoenix. A beautiful, beautiful, beautiful setup here. Exquisite. The bishop's the quick exchange there, and now the pawn pushes forward. Now oh my word! Now the c pawn pushes forward, and it is absolute chaos here on this side of the board. Oh my word! What do you do here? The knight now slides forward. You probably need to take this pawn here, and then probably get the bishop over here. Knight now takes, pawn takes, and black is winning as it currently stands. Oh nope, just kidding. It's okay. Now black is winning. I honestly could not tell you why, because the eval bar is just a roller coaster right now. This is a Carl defense advance. Butvinik, Carl's defense. Knight now moves forward to c3. Pawn pushes forward now to d4, attacking the knight. Knight now slides up to b5. And a fork was imminent, but black does a great job of castling the king, getting the king to safety. And it is black who is in the driver's seat early in this one. Katie now moves the knight forward, and that's actually not the best move because bishop takes, pawn takes, and now the rook's going to get over, and there's no way to save this pawn, although you could probably move the bishop here eventually. But you could also probably push here too and then eventually stop that. But ideas are here for Phoenix. Katie has also used like no time on her clock. Phoenix did a little bit of thinking in that spot. Honestly, don't mind the slide. Oh my god, and now Katie's going to have to move her king here. Ooh, that's kind of spooky. A little spooky. She vouches to slide her king over there to d1. Now the bishop needs to come up here to defend that pawn. Good job by Katie defending that pawn. Well done there. You cannot move your king here, by the way, either, because the knight's going to come in here with check. Probably push this pawn. Actually, that's still scary, because then the rook can come over here and have there be discovered checks here, potentially. And you can't castle anymore either, because you lost your right to castle. Crazy. Phoenix is taking a little bit of a think here. Both players are dead locked in this bout. Phoenix vouches to slide the knight over to a5. And now the rook slides over for Katie to c1. Oh my word, and Phoenix pushes the pawn. But it is to no avail because now Katie gets the rook in. A 7th rank rook is on the board. 7th rank rooks are absolute killers in chess. Absolute killers. The rook now slides forward. Oh my word, and now Katie needs to push this pawn forward to d7, and there's nothing stopping this pawn from promoting. The only thing you can do here is... But instead she slides the rook over to e1. Is there any hope for Phoenix? Can Phoenix pull off something crazy here? Is it even possible? This pawn's going to push here, covered by the rook. And then black's going to have to move their knight back here, and then you move the rook up here. Pawn pushes forward now. Now the pawn pushes, and Katie looks like she is going to win this one. If she can hold on. If she can hold on. This is the next move that needs to be played. Phoenix needs to bring the knight back to c6. c6 is the best move on the board. That's the only move that saves the position. For now. The position is already lost. Phoenix taking his sweet time here, as he rightfully should. We're on move 23. d7 is on the board. Phoenix vouches to push the pawn forward, and it is catastrophic. Actually, no. Blundering the knight in one move? Question mark? Knight's going to fall off the board. Oh, my word. But Katie takes the knight. Or, excuse me, takes the rook. Quick exchange. And now you could honestly just probably move the bishop here. Actually, no. Ooh, Katie with some dynamite. Now you got to slide the bishop up here. Good job. And now, after this knight moves, you're going to push this pawn. Knight's going to take, and you're going to take back with the bishop, and it's going to be done, said match. Katie is going to win this round. And move on to the chess championship final. Oh, my word. But if Katie were... Oh, my word. And the pawn's going to fall off the board. The pawn is off the board. And in the sheer blink of an eye, Phoenix has leveled this game. This game was over, but Katie is still in the driver's seat. Phoenix has questions he needs to answer. Oh my word. An unbelievable turn of events. If you go check here, king slides over, you cannot take this bishop. You cannot take this bishop. You cannot take that bishop. The pawn's on the light square. You need to keep this knight on the board. You got to keep this knight on the board. Phoenix is now below 1 minute on his clock, and Katie has not even used over 30 seconds of her time. Oh my word. Phoenix is now at 45 seconds on his clock. Can he muster something crazy here? The knight now slides back to d7. Phoenix does not have much time to think here. He needs to be precise. The pawn now pushes forward, and the king slides up now. I honestly like it. Whenever there's a dark square bishop, it's best when you're in a low time scramble to try and keep your pieces on light squares as best as you can. As best as you possibly can. When it's knight against bishop and the bishop is on one color, try to get your pieces on the opposite color. The king does slide forward now to e6. And Katie taking her sweet time as she rightfully should. We're on move 36, and she is not even below 2 minutes now. Now she's below 2 minutes on her clock. And she is taking a bit of a think. And the king slides up. Apparently that's the wrong move. I couldn't quite tell you why. Actually, that's probably not even a bad move. Get the king in the game. Oh my god, and now Katie has the advantage. The pawn strikes. Phoenix needed to take this pawn here. A quick exchange, though. Phoenix can't move this king. Phoenix cannot move that king. I think you need to play here. Oh my word. Oh my word. And Katie has it all. Katie has it all. King now slides over. Check. Does Katie know she's winning? Oh my word. But she slides the bishop up. And the king slides down. What is happening? Is there a fork? Is there a fork that's possible? No, because obviously a piece has to move. Duh. Now maybe you go here? Knight b7, attack the bishop? Oh my word, but how do you navigate this up? You need to go bishop g5 after that move here. Oh wait, but the pawn's dead. The pawn's dead. The pawn is literally dead. The pawn is dead. Oh my word. King's gonna take here. Oh, but the bishop slides down now. Knight take. Oh my god. And Phoenix and Katie are off to the races. And we're in a draw position. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in a draw position. Is there any hope? Oh my god. Phoenix, against all odds. Against all odds. Has tied this game. All he needs to do is keep checking. He needs to keep checking. Keep the checks coming. Oh my god. But now the queen blocks, and if you take this queen, well done, but from Phoenix. If the queen comes over here to check, you need to just make sure the queen has to stay on the board at all costs for Phoenix. At all costs. This queen cannot fall off the board. It cannot fall off the board. King now slides down. And white's out of checks. You cannot check the king without losing. Okay, and there's a drawn position again. Phoenix against all odds. He was down a tremendous amount in this one. Oh my word. And now this pawn's going to fall off the board. And it looks like we're going to be heading to a draw. Oh my word. Against all odds. Against all odds. Phoenix has come back. And it appears he will be forcing a draw. Unspeakable. Unspeakable. Queen c2 check. We're on move 66. King b5. Queen slides up to f5. Delivering check. Katie is looking to create something. And on move 69, Katie slides the queen up to d7 check. King b4. And this game is a draw. This game is a complete and utter draw. This is a draw. This is a draw. It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And by the way, Phoenix did offer a draw to Katie, but Katie declined. Katie, oh my word. I cannot believe that this game just happened. Unbelievable. Queen slides up to B7 check. King slides down to C3. We're on move 72. And that right there is going to signify a draw. And Phoenix, against all odds, has drawn this game. And ladies and gentlemen, do not go anywhere. We are heading to a bullet tiebreaker. And we are underway for the bullet tiebreaker in round 2 of the full strive chess tournament. We have Phoenix playing with the white pieces, Katie playing with the black pieces, and I believe we watched from white's perspective in the last game. Actually, we're just going to keep it on white. The bishop now moves forward to c4, and we have a Vienna game max laying defense. The queen now slides up, and both these players have to play a little bit faster because this time control is very, very brutal. Oh, and I also need to get the eval bar on the screen. And the queen now slides forward to f6. And if I'm being honest, white should take this queen. The knight's going to take back. Bishop takes, knight takes, pawn takes. Oh my word. And Phoenix has the lead. Unprecedented. The knight now takes and the bishop takes back. The knight now jumps forward here to d4. And a fork is in the ropes here. King d1, top engine move. You can also play bishop b3. I don't hate that in the slightest. Now you probably can push this pawn forward to attack this knight. If this pawn moves forward here, honestly, just take the knight. You just take the knight here. And then, actually, no, it would be a blunder because after the pawn takes, you would take this bishop back. Nice move there from Phoenix. And Katie takes the bishop now on b3. And Phoenix has a 2-piece advantage early on in this 2-minute bullet tiebreaker. The bishop now slides up here to e6. Pawn's under fire. King can probably just take this pawn now. Ooh, but Phoenix would take this bishop or this pawn right back. Katie slides the bishop now back to d6. Honestly, yeah, and if the pawn takes, you collect the rook. Nice. I honestly don't mind that. Yes, it says it's bad. Oh my word, but that was really bad apparently. Oh my word, because you have to take the rook. Oh my word, and Katie's gonna eat. Katie has equalized. Against all odds, Katie has equalized. Anything can happen in a bullet time scramble. Phoenix is now at 1 minute and 15 seconds on his clock. He plays another move and he gets 2 seconds of bonus time. Very pivotal that you keep as much time on your clock as you possibly can. Phoenix does have a 1-piece advantage. Katie now slides the bishop down to attack the knight. And honestly, I probably would move the bishop to probably e3. Bishop e3, although, yeah, takes. And honestly, that's fine because then you slide the king over and you get over here. Good move from Phoenix. Phoenix finds the top engine move. Very nicely done. You can probably go b5 here now. No, but Katie vouches for f6 instead. And now the rook slides over. And now you probably push this pawn forward. Nicely done by Katie. And now the king slides up. And we are officially moving very, very, very fast. Pawn pushes forward now. Rook check. King slides up to f3. Pawn pushes forward. And Phoenix is, in fact, winning in this spot. He is at a +4 advantage. Can Phoenix finish this game off? He was down 10 on the evo bar in that previous game. This is now Phoenix's game to lose. Pawn pushes forward now to h4. But he checks with the pawn? Due to a discovered check or discovered attack on the pawn to collect that? Check is now delivered by Katie. Oh my word. And the eval bar is just an absolute roller coaster of emotions. I cannot. Another pawn push is made. But the pawn on the other side of the board falls off the board. Now the bishop slides back, defending all of this. And now maybe you slide the rook. Actually, no, it's black's move. Maybe you can't even go there because the bishop is still covering there. Rook slides over. Oh my word, and Katie's looking for a discovered attack on the king. Phoenix needs to calmly slide his king up to safety. Well done by Phoenix. Katie looking for some kind of tactic, anything to muster and save this position. Rook now slides over. And it's going to collect this pawn, actually. Oh, my word. And it looks like Phoenix is going to pull off the insane finish. Bishop slides up to b6, attacking the pawn. Katie is now has a 3-piece disadvantage, and she is minus 6.5 on the eval bar. Phoenix, very cool and calmly, slides the bishop up to e5, defending this pawn. This pawn had 2 attackers on it. And now the rook slides over. You probably just push this pawn now. Well done from Phoenix. 52 seconds on his clock, a minute on Katie's clock. And Katie needs to try and find some sort of tactic here. Is there anything she can do to save this? Oh my word, and a very nice move from Phoenix, pushing the rook up. And now this pawn's going to start pushing. Actually, probably not yet. King slides over first. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. King now slides down. And Phoenix just needs to push these pawns down the board and not make any silly mistakes. And this game is done, said, match. Push the pawn forward. Probably don't push that pawn now. You probably push this pawn first. Push this pawn first. And yeah, that king moves good. King moves good. Now the king comes in here. Ooh, checked a little bit by Katie. King slides back now. Okay. You gotta push this pawn now. Gotta push this pawn. Katie offered to draw. Phoenix declined. Crazy work. All right, so the pawn pushes forward now. King slides up. You probably should have gone there. Bishop now slides down to b6. King slides up to g4. And there's no stopping these pawns. These pawns are going to start pushing. These pawns are going to start pushing. And now the bishop slides down. And this pawn's going to keep pushing p. Katie sacks the bishop in an attempt. But after you get the king here, you push this pawn. And then you go here. And Phoenix is going to push this pawn all the way down the board. And he is going to win this game against all odds. Katie had it all. She literally had it all. But Phoenix pulls off the most unthinkable comeback I have ever seen. And Phoenix delivers checkmate on move 68, delivering with the queen on g7. And we are underway for the final match of round 2 of the Full Strive Chess Tournament between LG and Generation. LG, a significant underdog in this bout, but he is looking to prove the haters wrong. The bishop now slides forward to LG. I love this development here. You get both of your pieces into the game here early, and now you're able to castle here very quickly. You need to be careful about this pawn, though. This pawn is hanging. Well done by LG. Get the knight into the game to defend this pawn. I honestly love it. Now the bishop jumps forward to c5. And the bishop now takes the knight on c6, and this pawn's probably going to take back here. Oh, my word, but Generation takes with the other pawn. Very, very fascinating stuff. So perhaps, okay, so now the pawn pushes forward to d3. And now perhaps white can now, black can now castle here probably. No, they've actually pushed the pawn forward. Honestly, I don't mind that move. Now the bishop jumps in. I like that too. Get another piece off the starting square and pin this knight to the queen. This pawn's eventually going to push. When this pawn does push, you probably are okay with sliding the bishop back to, actually it says, it wants you to go back to b3. Bishop back to h4 honestly doesn't seem bad to me. The bishop now moves forward. You probably needed to play g5 in this spot. Bishop does come up to e6 here, and black has a lot of squares being covered by this bishop now. So LG needs to keep that in mind as we progress in this game. The bishop is still pinning the knight to the queen. And this opening right here was the Four Knights game Spanish variation, classical variation. What a name. But how exactly does LG navigate this now? You could probably play d4 here. He vouches for a3 here. a3, honestly, I don't mind that move. A bit of a waiting move. Actually, no, it's not, because now the bishop can't get here. Now, Generation responds with pawn to a5. Now, LG needs to push his pawn to d4. d4 top engine is a top engine move here. d4, if you play h3, it will be losing slightly, but honestly, not even that bad. And any other move is going to be catastrophic for black. Or, excuse me, catastrophic for white. Queen d2. I think that's a fair move. I think that is a fair move. Because now if this pawn pushes, you sack, take, and then take. Fascinating. Very, very, very even in this one so far. Oh my word, and the pawn now pushes. And you actually need to sack the knight here. You need to sack the knight here. Does LG find knight takes on g5? Does LG find knight takes on g5? Knight takes on g5 is winning. And he finds knight takes on g5! A brilliant move! A brilliant move! Unbelievable, because after the h-pawn takes, queen takes on g5 check, and he's going to get this knight right back. Unbelievable stuff from LG. Sacking the knight on g5. LG with nothing to lose. Playing the most deadly move possible in the position. And Generation, as she rightfully should, taking a bit of a think here. A brilliant move played here from LG. Unbelievable. Oh my word, but Generation blunders. Because of knight takes on e6. And after the queen takes here, you're going to get this bishop. And have triple pawns. Oh my word, and LG. Can LG find knight takes on e6? He does! And Generation has to take this bishop or the queen's gonna fall. Unbelievable! Oh, but wait, did you even take that? You have a rook here! Oh my word! LG! Insanity! Insanity! What does LG do now here? King h1, knight e2. Pawn b4. A valid move, but not the best move on the board. Although it does potentially get a rook into the game. Oh my word, and Generation trades the rooks here. Taking the pawn here now. Pinning the knight to the queen. LG is not quite in the green just yet. He still has questions he needs to answer. This game could quickly turn on its head. But as it currently stands, LG is in the lead. But queen g4 loses everything to queen g6. Because if the bishop takes, you have checkmate. Oh my word. Can LG find queen takes on h6? LG now with 40 seconds on his clock. But he blunders! But he blunders! It's a blunder! And now it is mate 2! It is mate 2! And LG blunders and loses the game! No! No! Generation! Against all odds! Finds D1 check, and the only move LG can play is bringing the queen back to E1, and the queen will immediately take. And LG resigns on move 20. And we are underway for the championship match of the full Strive Chess Tournament. We have Phoenix with the white pieces, Generation with the black pieces, and both of these opponents had the luckiest games I think I have ever seen in a full Strive Chess Tournament, pulling off wins that are just absolutely unworldly. But we need to crown a victor in this one, and it will be one of these two. The pawn now takes the pawn on e5, and you have to do something about this knight here as Generation. Taking. And now the queen moves up to f3. And maybe you could take this here. You might be able to take this here. Knight takes on c3 is the third move. You can also play knight c6. And you can also play f5. Or excuse me, f5. Because if en passant, you go here. Crazy stuff out of the gate here for this one. Generation is now taking a little bit of a think here, as he rightfully should. This is anybody's game. We have to be very careful. Oh, wait, actually, it's... Okay, so Generation does find the best move, which is knight c6. And now the knight takes, and apparently... Okay, and then the queen takes back. So we are deadlocked. We are deadlocked as it currently stands. Now, Phoenix could move. Oh, my word, but apparently that's bad here. Knight f3 into the game, and now black should probably castle. Nicely done. And white is in the lead here early. Pawn now strikes forward to d4. Who's going to win this game? Who's going to win this game? This tournament has been insanity so far. The queen now slides up, but apparently that is very bad because of bishop sliding up to d3, and checkmate is brewing unless you could stop this with this pawn. g6 is the only saving grace, which is found by Generation. Phoenix now castles, and there is so much pressure coming down this file. Phoenix can also get the bishop in here, potentially. The knight... And Generation moves the rook over. Oh, my word. And now Phoenix needs to take just a little bit of a think here. But he does bring the bishop down. I do not mind this in the slightest. I do not mind this. There is so much pressure coming down here on this king side. Rooks are going to be coming into the game here soon. Generation needs to figure out something fast here to try and save and get back into this game. Phoenix is only up one piece of material, though, as it stands. Oh, my word, apparently that is a horrific move because of en passant. Bishop now takes, and now the queen is under fire. You need to move your queen to f4. Attack this bishop. Nicely done from Phoenix. Is Phoenix going to win this game? Is he going to be back in the win title for the Full Strive Chess Tournament? He has won one tournament in the past. Can he pull it off and win another one? And can Generation come back and win this? Is there any inkling of hope? Oh, my word. This might be the... Wait. If the knight takes... Queen takes with check. Queen takes. Oh, my word. And we are dead. Phoenix has blundered the advantage, and we have ourselves a chess game here. Generation against all odds. Phoenix was +5 on the eval bar for a split second. The bishop now slides forward to e6. Rook jumps over. Bishop. Oh, my word, and that loses the game. Because of bishop b3? That's b5. I'm blind. a6. Phoenix needs to start striking with the pawn here. That is how you break into the position. You can also go b5 or... Wait, no. Black needs to go b5. a6 is also an option. Oh, my word. Generation had a chance. She had a chance to equal it. Oh, my word. And Generation just straight up sacks. But mate is coming here for Phoenix. Unspeakable. The rook now slides up. A desperate attempt. And mate 1 is coming. And it will be Phoenix who wins the Full Strive Chess Tournament. Unbelievable. Phoenix in his return pulls off the victory. And it will be Phoenix who is our champion, the victor, the winner of $10. Send the Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal, or chess.com gold membership. Congratulations, Phoenix. And good game to Generation. A valiant effort. Very, very, very valid performances from both players, but Phoenix reigns supreme in this one as the victor in our Full Strive Chess Tournament.